Senator Elizabeth Warren eager to see President Biden run again in 2024, but she's not so sure about Vice President Kamala Harris as his running mate. Listen to this.
Yes, he should run again,
Why?
and he is running again, because he has gotten a tremendous amount done.
Should Kamala Harris be his choice the second time around?
You know, I really want to defer to what makes Biden comfortable on his team, but they have to be a team, and my sense is they are. I don't mean that by suggesting I think there are any problems. I think they are.
Patrice Onwuka is a director for the Center for Economic Opportunity at the Independent Women's Forum. She joins us now. So why do you think, what do you think the main reason is that Warren is seemingly backing Biden and kind of pushing Harris off to the side?
Oh, good morning, Todd and Ashley. Yeah, I think Senator Elizabeth Warren hit on something, which is that President Biden is still wildly popular in his own party. Emerson polling just out last week suggests that 58% of Democratic voters would want him to run, but we don't see that popularity with Vice President Harris because, frankly, she's been a no-show for her party. Every political battle, every significant legislative fight, she has not been in the trenches, working with her former Senate colleagues to whip up support or really trying to get at some of these issues that she has been assigned to tackle. She's just shown up for that last tie-breaking vote where necessary or shown up for the photo op. So, I think Senator Elizabeth Warren is positioning herself, although she did say she's running for Senate again. I think she thinks of herself as that fighter, that in the trenches, and that person who could really pass forward any sort of Democratic agenda.
I love how the election season for 2024 is already here. Patrice, as someone who is tapped into Washington, would you say that basically what Elizabeth Warren said there, we're not really sure about Kamala in 2024, is that the sense you get from a lot of Democrats in Congress? Dare I say the majority of Democrats in Congress?
Well, I don't hear them talking much about the VP ticket. I think they're still grappling with, frankly, the top of the ticket. I mean, certainly the classified documents scandal that President Biden has now, had forced into because he himself has had them. They're still trying to figure out where that's going to land and whether that's enough to knock him off his top perch. The VP position, I think it's much more inside baseball. And, when you consider the math on the Senate side and the House side, there's not a lot that the president can get done or Democrats can get done, frankly, from their agenda. At best, they can be obstructionist to whatever the Republican-led House puts forward. And there are lots of good ideas coming out of the House. But there's not much that they can do other than just try to defend their position, defend what they've passed over the past couple of years, and set the president up for his reelection campaign.
I want to get to this. A new NBC poll reveals 71% of Americans say the country is on the wrong track. Meanwhile, President Biden tweeted, "My word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future than I am today." So my question is, who was the intern that wrote this? Because Biden is not tweeting on his page, but what are they talking about? What are they optimistic about? Because right now Americans are struggling pretty badly.
Well, I mean, I think everyone generally is optimistic about America because it's an ideal we believe in, and it's the leading nation of the world. However, when you look at your current bottom line, when you look at your household budget, there's a lot to be pessimistic about, and it's not surprising it's showing up in these numbers. I mean, rising costs, not just inflation, which is still ridiculously higher than it was before the president took office, but also rising costs. Mortgage rate increases are pricing out new home buyers. What we're spending on credit cards, what we're spending on auto loans are rising because of rising interest rates due to the Fed raising interest rates just to fight inflation. So, when you look at the bottom line, a lot of families are saying, what is President Biden talking about? The sky is not sunny and birds are not chirping everywhere. Add to that the daily number of corporate layoffs that we're seeing that have, not just in the tech sector, but are spreading to the housing sector, to the financial services sector, and will start to trickle down to every other sector. People are understandably worried.
Kudos to the intern for actually getting it in Joe Biden's voice. That sounds exactly like something Joe Biden would say. The only thing that was missing in that was a reference to corn pop. Patrice Onwuka, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you, Patrice.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Patrice.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.